number one seed, the evolution of MA, just can't be overlooked. Medicare Advantage has become such a significant force. I mean, clearly our longest standing value-based contract. But with enrollment numbers looking a little bit differently this year, with Humana reporting some very interesting financial results in their most recent quarter with the losses they have and attributing those losses to Medicare Advantage regulations where they were so bullish then for such a long time, on top of the most recent Cigna sale of their Medicare Advantage and Medicare Services assets for $3+ billion to another large regional blue in HCSC, we can't help but to put that as a number one seed in a region. The interesting one here, though, is the 5 seed for me. We've called it the Mark Cuban effect on PBMs. And it although we tongue-in-cheek describe it that way, it's a bit unmistakable. The impact in a very short period of time a non-healthcare entrepreneur has had on the industry. Establishes his own cost-plus drug company. That company then goes out and transforms the way that we think about drug delivery, drug benefit. And in the wake of that, suddenly, I mean, coincidence? I don't know. CVS has a brand new cost vantage model in the way that we think about drug spend and the way that we manage what our drug activity looks like. I would suggest, much like the Saudi fund has now led to the PGA's recent announcement of taking a bunch of money, I would argue that Mark Cuban has changed the way that now we think about PBMs.
Looking at the payment bracket as being kind of pretty critical.
I would have thought with your PE background, you would have gone with a couple of others. I like how you gravitate towards the finance side. Okay.
Right. Well, I think it drives a lot of the decisions that are going to be made this year. We saw it happen last year. Employers, which are the majority of how at least commercial folks that get commercial insurance is how insurance is paid for. And a lot of them are really cost focused. We've seen layoffs happen. Big tech that was sort of untouched for years and years had rounds and rounds of layoffs, people calling back to the office, and even smaller companies have gotten hit, as well as hospitals, health systems, payers, you name it. It's been a year like that. And so I think everybody's looking to save costs. And so I look at this 4-5 matchup you have. It's a, really tight seating. Anybody can come out of that. Direct contracting is a way to potentially save costs. And then you have the Mark Cuban effect on PBMs. And so those are, PBM is one of the biggest growing areas for costs from an employer standpoint. And so where are you going to put more leverage as an employer, and where does this committee going to think how that matchup is actually going to end out?
I think MA will drive not only, Medicare Advantage will drive not only Medicare itself, where something like 50% of beneficiaries are enrolled in Medicare Advantage, but also employer-based care, because employers are waiting for value to take hold, and they haven't been able to get that mass of enrollees in a value-based plan in order to really exert their own influence. Because individual employers just don't have the leverage, and it's hard for them to all work together on one thing. That's not how competitive industries work. We just don't do that. So we really needed something like Medicare Advantage to kind of break that open. Now, there's troubling signs to it. I think there's going to be a need for better policy around Medicare Advantage. Lots of things have to happen, but I do think it's the future, and I think it's going to drive a lot of change from others.
I totally agree. This is a top-heavy. I think MA and the evolution is going to be really hard to beat. But this is maybe less of an optimistic story. I think that MA has been probably the leading carrot for providers to move into value-based care. It was just an opportunity to be successful because of the ability to impact revenue and potentially cost. I think the changes to the program that have been implemented and are being implemented are going to put pressure on MA plans, and I think that what you saw from Humana was largely a cost problem for them. Revenues being constrained with changes to the program, but what drove their fourth quarter challenges were high MLRs and high utilization rates. Remembering that although MA is a nice way to shift risk to providers, most providers don't take risk. And so I think what you'll see is that the plans will either need to find or force more of their provider networks to take risk, or you'll see them continue to double down on building their own care resources. And I think you saw that even with Humana, even as they're changing their guidance for this year based on their fourth quarter and their end of year performance, they also announced that they're going to be expanding their CenterWell relationship and assets.